All right, happy Monday. Hello, students. We're trying something a little bit different today. Instead of you guys just doing the independent work on your own, I'm going to get started with giving you guys some instructions and a model for what you're going to be doing during your independent work today. So you have a little bit of guidance as you go through it. So we're going to try to do this every time we have a new objective, we're learning a new skill. I'm going to post a video that's going to take you guys through some of the lesson, just so you're ready for the independent practice. So you should be able to see my screen here. Up on my screen, you're going to see the exact same document that you guys should have open. Let's start by looking at the objective. Our objective today is I can analyze characterization in I Want to Be Miss America by engaging in a digital annotation strategy. So you might think we're doing distance learning. We don't have our text in front of us like we usually do in class. We can't do annotation. But that's not the case. We're going to be learning a method that we can use to still annotate our texts and still take notes as we read, even though we don't have them right in front of us like we usually would in class. The steps that we're going to take to do that is do now. You guys should have already answered this question. Can't wait to read your thoughts on beauty. But you should already have that at this point in the lesson. Then we're going to watch the video and take some notes. You're already doing it. Great start. And then we're going to do some reading and annotation. And finally, you guys will have your exit ticket. So let's move on to our guided notes. Don't worry about writing anything down yet. Every time I need you to write something during this lesson, I will tell you to pause the video, switch over to your document, and write it down. Don't need to worry about writing yet. I'll let you know and I'll give you time when you need to do that. So as we read the story, one of the major things we're going to be focusing on is characterization. Because when in I Want to Be Miss America, there are a lot of really great interesting characters, and I really want us to be able to go deep in analyzing them. So characterization, I know, is a familiar concept for you guys. We've definitely talked about it in class before. So this is just a quick recap of what we're looking for when we talk about characterization. So the first thing that you're doing when you analyze character is you're identifying important things that the characters think, say, and do. So with the characters think, say, and do that stands out to you, that seems like important information, using it and writing it down. You're actually able to make inferences. So we're reading Dear Martin. I'm sure you guys remember that scene where Justice is helping out girlfriend Melo, and then ends up getting arrested in the process. That scene gives a lot of information about Justice as a character. It showed us that he really cared about Melo and that he was like willing to go out of his way to help her. That was more of an example of indirect characterization, because the author didn't come right out and say, hey, Justice really cares about Melo and he really is invested in helping her. It just told us a story where Justice's actions, the things he did, showed us that that was true. So that's indirect characterization, when the author doesn't just come right out and say it. He or she sort of puts it into the story, and then we as readers have to make educated guesses based on what we read. If the author had come right out and said, like, hey, this Justice kid, he's a nice guy, that would have been direct characterization. All right, after we've made our inferences, we have to look at the actual words that the author is using to describe the character and analyze their connotations. So connotations, that might be an unfamiliar word, so let's break it down. Connotation means you're going beyond just the definition of a word, and you're looking at what are the shades of meaning sort of below and behind that definition. So I'll give an example. We could have two words that have very similar definitions that mean sort of the same thing, but have very, very different meanings, different connotations. So for example, I could tell you that someone was a leader, or I could tell you that they were bossy. Both of those words mean similar things. They both describe people who really take charge. They tell people what to do. But if you told me someone was a leader, I would think, oh, they're a really great person. Everybody respects them. Everybody listens to them. It has a very positive connotation. Like, this is great. But if you tell me someone's bossy, I'm going to think nobody likes them. Nobody listens to them. Nobody likes being around them. Bossy has a very negative connotation. So even though those words have similar meanings, the sort of shade of meaning behind the definition, what we think of when we think of the word, is very, very different. That's connotation. And then finally, you're going to be able to draw a conclusion about the characters based on your inferences. So to go back to that example with Justice and Melo, the inference that we made about him was that he really cared about her and he was willing to go out of his way to help her. A conclusion that I might draw based on that is that, like, Justice is a generous guy who goes out of his way to help people even when it's not easy. So I went from like an inference about the situation to drawing a conclusion about what Justice is like as a person in general. If you have any questions about this, feel free to give me a call or shoot me a text. My number's at the top of the document. All right, so at this point, you can go through, fill in the blanks that you have in your document with these words I have in bold. Come back to this video whenever you've filled in all of your notes. All right, if you're back, that should be because you've already filled in all of these notes in your document. Great job. We're ready to move on. So I'm going to scroll to my next page. This is where we get to practice our digital annotation strategy. So you see, I have independent work. You'll be reading and annotating the short story linked below. Follow the instructions in the video for how to annotate. So I'm about to give you those instructions. Glad you're here to listen to them. So I'm going to go ahead and click this link. Click the document. It's automatically going to open my document in a new tab. And I've got my story right here. Okay, so the first thing that I should do when I open this story is I want to go in and fill in my title. So where it says name, I want you to delete that word and I want you to put your name. So I'm going to put Miss Canary. You can put your own name. Then I've got my prediction. I think this story will be about, and I want you to go ahead and finish that sentence. Anywhere in the text, if you haven't already noticed so far, anywhere where I need you to write, I have it highlighted. So whenever you see something that's highlighted in yellow, that means I want you to write there. So I think the story will be about is highlighted in yellow. I know I need to finish that sentence. So I'm going to go back to my story. I see the title is I Want to Be Miss America. I'm looking through, see some pictures of some ladies. They look like they're at like a pageant or a competition of some sort. I see like a map of the world. Interesting. Okay. So just based on that, I want you to go ahead and make a prediction about what you think this story is going to be about. Go ahead and pause the video, make your prediction, come back when you're ready to move on. All right. So for each of the pages that we read, we're going to be taking notes on three things. First, what are the major events on the page? Second, what author's craft moves you noticed on the page? And third, what words stand out to you on this page? We're gonna go ahead and read the page first, then we're gonna come back and take our notes. All right, I want to be Miss America. I've got a nice vocab guide up at the top. I'm gonna help myself out by going through this vocab before I start reading. So any words that might be unfamiliar to me, I've already got the definition before I even dive in. So presiding, to be in a position of authority, moon-eyed, eyes full of wonder, homely means ugly, and vicinity means nearby area. Okay, I'm going to be on the lookout for those words as I read. Starting at the top. As young teenagers in our new country, my three sisters and I searched for clues on how to look as if we belonged here. We collected magazines, studied our classmates and our new TV, which was where we discovered the Miss America contest. Watching the pageant became an annual event in our family. Once a year, we all plopped down in our parents' bedroom, with Mommy and Poppy presiding from their bed. In our nightgowns, we watched the 50 young women who had the American look we longed for. The beginning was always the best part. All 50 contestants came on for one and only one appearance. In alphabetical order, they stepped forward and enthusiastically introduced themselves by name and state. Hi, I'm Susie Martin, Miss Alaska. Their voices rang with false cheer. You could hear, not far off, years of high school cheerleading, pom-poms, bleachers full of moon-eyed boys, and moms on phones, signing them up for all manner of lessons and making gentle movements. They stood there, 50 puzzle pieces forming the pretty face of America. So we thought, though most of the color had been left out, except for one, or possibly two, light-skinned black girls. If there was a Hispanic, she usually looked all American, and only the last name, Lopez or Rodriguez, often mispronounced, showed a trace of the great-grandfather with a dark, okay, we're gonna stop there. We're gonna go back to our annotation page. We're gonna be switching back and forth between these tabs. Look at the first question we need to answer. What are the main events on this page? So here you're just basically asking yourself, what happened on this page? What went on in the story? On this first page, it was mostly about how this family is gathering all together to watch the Miss America pageant. So that was my first note. a girl and her family are watching the Miss America competition. I also thought it was important, this the last paragraph, where she's describing how these girls look. And she notices that most of them are white, and she sort of feels disconnected from that. I can infer based on this that this is probably not a white character. So I took that down as a major event note. She notices that most of the women are white and don't look like her or her sisters. All right, those are my main events. I don't think I forgot anything. I can move on to my next question. What author's craft moves do you notice on this page? So we've talked about author's craft moves in class before. This is where we're looking for things like characterization, figurative language, those sort of literary techniques we've talked about before, where irony might be one, onomatopoeia might be one, but we're looking, those literary techniques that we've talked about in class before, that's what we're looking for when we talk about author's craft. So I noticed some characterization on this page. One line that stood out to me was when she was describing the parents. I'll show you the line in the text. Once a year, we all pop down in our parents' bedroom with mommy and poppy presiding from their bed. So I noticed she uses this word presiding to describe mommy and poppy, which is defined as being in a position of authority. So that shows me that like her mom and dad are, they have positions of authority. They're like very much in charge in the family. So they seem like strong authority figures. That was the note I took. We also learned a lot about the sisters. The first paragraph was what really stood out to me, where it says they're searching for clues on how to look as if they belong in their new country. That tells me the sisters really care a lot about fitting in America. That's what I wrote, characterization of the sisters. They want to fit in America. Then I looked through, I asked myself, okay, did I see any instances of figurative language as I was reading? And I noticed in this last paragraph, it says, there they stood, 50 puzzle pieces forming the pretty face of America. So she's comparing the woman to puzzle pieces. And remember, metaphor is any comparison that doesn't use the words like or as. So she's comparing these women to puzzle pieces. That's an author's craft move. I wrote it down. Finally, my last question is, what words stand out to you on this page? What word choices is the author making that seem particularly strong, that really jump off the page? For me, those were presiding, homely, and devastating on this first page. So you already have these notes down on your document. You don't need to worry about writing anything down. You just need to look on the second page of your story and answer those same questions for page 2. You're gonna read page 2, then ask yourself, what are the main events on this page? What author's craft moves do I notice on this page? And what words stand out to you on this page? I think out of these questions, probably the second one is the hardest. So when in doubt, I want you to write like, what new things did we learn about the characters? If you're struggling with author's craft move, it's always good to fall back on characterization. But if you're having any issues with this assignment, again, feel free to call me, give me a text. I'm more than happy to walk you through it. Once you finish your page 2 notes, you can go ahead and click on the link for your exit ticket and you will be done for the day. So thank you so much for going through this video with me. Enjoy page 2 of I Want to Be Miss America and enjoy the rest of your day.